The morning sun cast long shadows across the marble floors of Astoria Palace as Queen Isabella stood at her window, watching the royal guards march in perfect formation below. Her youngest son, Prince Alexander, had been acting strangely for weeks, and today would bring answers she wasn't sure she wanted to hear. Dr. Marcus Wellington, the kingdom's most trusted physician, had requested an urgent meeting with the Queen. His message had been cryptic but concerning, something about Prince Alexander's recent illness and the need for immediate medical intervention. The 22-year-old prince had been complaining of chest pains and difficulty breathing, symptoms that had worsened despite all conventional treatments. As Queen Isabella made her way to the medical wing, she noticed increased security throughout the palace corridors. Captain Rodriguez, head of the royal guard, had personally overseen the arrangements. His stern expression told her this was no ordinary medical consultation. Prince Alexander lay pale and weak in the medical chamber, his breathing labored. His older brother, Crown Prince Marcus, stood beside the bed with a mixture of concern and determination in his eyes. The two brothers had always been close, but recent events had tested their bond in ways neither had anticipated. Dr. Wellington entered the room, carrying a leather case filled with surgical instruments that gleamed ominously in the lamplight. "Your Majesty," he began, his voice grave, "the prince's condition has deteriorated rapidly. Based on our examinations and the symptoms he's experiencing, I believe there may be something lodged near his heart that conventional medicine cannot detect or treat." Queen Isabella felt her knees weaken. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "We need to perform an exploratory procedure," Dr. Wellington explained. "It's risky, but without intervention, Prince Alexander's life hangs in the balance. The royal guards will need to be present to ensure security during the operation, as this situation is unprecedented in our kingdom's history." Crown Prince Marcus stepped forward, his jaw set with resolve. "If there's even a chance this could save my brother's life, we must proceed immediately. I'll personally oversee every aspect of this procedure." The Queen looked between her two sons, one fighting for his life, the other prepared to risk everything to save him. Outside, storm clouds gathered over the kingdom of Astoria, as if nature itself sensed the gravity of what was about to unfold. Within the palace walls, Dr. Wellington began preparing his instruments while Captain Rodriguez positioned his most trusted guards around the medical chamber. Whatever secrets Prince Alexander's body held, they would soon be revealed, and the consequences would reshape the royal family forever. The princes labored. Breathing filled the tense silence as everyone present understood they were about to witness something that would change the course of Astoria's history. Queen Isabella clutched her eldest son's hand, drawing strength from his unwavering determination to save his brother, no matter the cost. Dr. Wellington's hands moved with practiced precision as he prepared the surgical area. The medical chamber had been transformed into a makeshift operating room, with additional lighting brought in and every surface thoroughly cleaned. Prince Alexander remained conscious but heavily sedated, his eyes occasionally focusing on his brother's reassuring presence. Captain Rodriguez had positioned 6 of his most elite guards around the room, each man handpicked for his loyalty and discretion. They understood that what happened in this chamber must remain absolutely confidential until the Queen decided otherwise. The kingdom's stability could depend on their silence. Crown Prince Marcus rolled up his sleeves, determined to assist in any way possible. "Doctor, what exactly do you expect to find?" he asked, his voice steady despite the fear evident in his eyes. "The symptoms suggest a foreign object near the heart," Dr. Wellington replied, carefully sterilizing his instruments. "But the prince's blood work shows unusual properties that I've never encountered before. There are trace elements that shouldn't exist in human blood, and his heart rate patterns are unlike anything in medical literature." Queen Isabella gasped softly. What could cause such abnormalities? Before Dr. Wellington could respond, Prince Alexander suddenly gripped his brother's hand with surprising strength. "Marcus," he whispered urgently, "there's something I need to tell you before the procedure begins. Something I should have revealed years ago." The room fell silent except for the crackling of the fireplace. Even the guards seemed to lean in slightly, sensing the importance of the prince's words. "I've been having dreams," Prince Alexander continued, his voice growing stronger. "Dreams about our family's past, about secrets buried in the royal vaults. And lately I've been feeling something moving inside my chest, something that responds to my emotions." Crown Prince Marcus frowned deeply. Moving? What do you mean? When I'm angry or frightened, I can feel it shifting almost like it's alive, Prince Alexander explained. And sometimes, late at night, I hear whispers that seem to come from inside my own body. Dr. Wellington paused in his preparations, clearly disturbed by these revelations. Your Highness, why didn't you mention these symptoms earlier? Because I was afraid you'd think I was losing my mind, Prince Alexander admitted. But now, with my condition worsening, I realize this might be connected to something much larger than a simple medical condition. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward slightly. Your Majesty, should we postpone the procedure until we can investigate these claims further? Queen Isabella looked torn between medical urgency and the disturbing implications of her son's words. Crown Prince Marcus, however, had already made his decision. We proceed as planned, he declared firmly. Whatever we find in there, we'll face it together as a family. Alexander has suffered long enough, and we need answers. Dr. Wellington nodded reluctantly and raised his scalpel. Then let us begin. Guards, please maintain your positions and be prepared for anything. I have a feeling this procedure will reveal more than any of us anticipated. As the blade approached Prince Alexander's chest, a strange blue light seemed to emanate from beneath his skin, causing everyone in the room to step back in amazement and concern. The blue light pulsed rhythmically beneath Prince Alexander's skin, synchronized with his heartbeat. Dr. Wellington's hand trembled slightly as he held the scalpel, unsure whether to proceed with the operation or retreat from what appeared to be a supernatural phenomenon. By the kingdom's crown, whispered Captain Rodriguez, his usual composure shaken. The guards around the room had instinctively reached for their weapons, though none could explain what they might be defending against. Crown Prince Marcus stepped closer to his brother, his eyes wide with fascination rather than fear. Alexander, can you feel that? The light? It's responding to your pulse. Prince Alexander nodded weakly. It's been getting stronger each day. Sometimes I can almost understand what it's trying to communicate. His voice carried an otherworldly quality that made everyone present feel as though they were witnessing something beyond the realm of normal human experience. Queen Isabella moved to her son's other side, her maternal instincts overriding her shock. Dr. Wellington, is it safe to continue? We cannot risk Alexander's life for our curiosity. The doctor studied the luminous patterns dancing across the prince's chest. Your Majesty, I believe the object inside may be the source of both his illness and this extraordinary display. If we don't remove it, the prince may not survive another week. As if responding to their conversation, the blue light intensified, and Prince Alexander arched his back slightly. It knows we're discussing it, he gasped. I can feel its awareness, its intelligence. Crown Prince Marcus made a decision that would define his character as a future ruler. He gently took the scalpel from Dr. Wellington's uncertain grip. Then I'll do it myself. As his brother and future king, this responsibility falls to me. Your Highness, you have no medical training, Dr. Wellington protested. But I have something more important, Marcus replied, his voice filled with determination. I have love for my brother and the courage to face whatever consequences come from this action. Queen Isabella watched her eldest son with a mixture of pride and terror. Marcus, if something goes wrong, then we'll face it together as a royal family should, he replied firmly. Alexander, I need you to stay conscious and guide me. Tell me what you're feeling as I proceed. The guards watched in stunned silence as Crown Prince Marcus positioned the blade over his brother's chest. The blue light seemed to pulse faster, almost urgently, as if whatever lay beneath the skin was eager to be revealed. I can feel it calling to something, Prince Alexander whispered, his eyes beginning to glow with the same ethereal blue light. Something ancient in our bloodline, something that's been waiting for generations to awaken. As Marcus made the first careful incision, a beam of brilliant light shot upward from the opening, illuminating ancient symbols that suddenly appeared on the chamber walls. The symbols seemed to tell a story that none of them could read, but all of them somehow understood. Captain Rodriguez ordered his men to document everything they were witnessing, knowing that this moment would become legend in the kingdom's history. Whatever Prince Alexander carried within him was about to change everything they thought they knew about the royal bloodline. As Crown Prince Marcus deepened the incision, the ancient symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, creating a mystical atmosphere that transformed the medical chamber into something resembling a sacred temple. Dr. Wellington watched in professional fascination as the prince's anatomy revealed itself to be unlike anything in his years of medical study. The tissue structure is completely different around the object, Dr. Wellington observed, leaning closer to assist despite his amazement. It's as if his body has adapted to accommodate whatever is inside. Prince Alexander's breathing had actually improved since the procedure began, and his color was returning to normal. "I can feel it responding to Marcus's touch," he said with wonder. "It recognizes him as family, as someone with the same bloodline." Queen Isabella studied the glowing symbols surrounding them. Though she couldn't read the ancient script, images flashed through her mind, memories that weren't her own but seemed to belong to her ancestors. "These symbols," she whispered, "they're telling the story of our dynasty's true origin." Captain Rodriguez had positioned himself where he could see both the operation and the chamber entrance, ensuring no unauthorized person could witness these extraordinary events. His most trusted lieutenant was documenting everything with detailed sketches, creating a historical record of the impossible. As Marcus carefully separated the tissue layers, a crystalline object became visible beneath Prince Alexander's sternum. It pulsed with the same blue light they had observed earlier, but now they could see its intricate geometric structure. The crystal appeared to be perfectly integrated with the prince's cardiovascular system, with delicate filaments extending toward his heart. "It's beautiful," Marcus breathed, pausing in his work to fully appreciate what he was seeing. "This isn't just some foreign object, it's part of him, part of us." Dr. Wellington examined the crystal formation with his magnifying instruments. "The integration is so complete that removing it might be impossible without causing fatal damage. But more importantly, I don't believe it should be removed. This crystal appears to be enhancing the prince's life force, not diminishing it." Prince Alexander smiled for the first time in weeks. "The whispers are becoming clearer now. They're not threatening. They're trying to teach me something. Something about our family's responsibility to the kingdom and to powers beyond our world." The symbols on the wall suddenly shifted, rearranging themselves into what appeared to be a map of their kingdom, with specific locations marked in brilliant light. Queen Isabella gasped as she recognized several sites, ancient ruins that had been part of their territory for centuries, always considered nothing more than historical curiosities. "Those locations," she said, pointing to the glowing marks, "they correspond to sites where strange phenomena have been reported for generations. Lights in the sky, unexplained energy readings, areas where crops grow more abundantly than anywhere else in the kingdom." Crown Prince Marcus continued his careful exploration of the crystal's integration with his brother's body. "Alexander, I think this crystal isn't just affecting you, it's connecting you to something much larger, something that involves our entire kingdom." As if responding to his words, the crystal pulsed more intensely, and Prince Alexander's eyes blazed with ancient knowledge. "I can see it now," he whispered urgently. "Our ancestor didn't just found this kingdom through conquest. He was chosen by guardians from beyond our world to protect something precious. And that responsibility has been passed down through our bloodline, waiting for the right moment to awaken." The implications of this revelation sent a shiver through everyone present, as they realized they were not just witnessing a medical procedure, but the awakening of a destiny that would reshape their understanding of their royal duty. Crown Prince Marcus carefully began closing the incision, leaving the crystal undisturbed in its natural position within his brother's chest. As he worked, Prince Alexander's transformation became even more apparent. His skin had regained its healthy color. His breathing was strong and steady, and his eyes held a wisdom that seemed far beyond his 22 years. "The knowledge is flowing into me now," Prince Alexander explained, his voice carrying new authority. "I can see the history of our kingdom as it truly happened. Our founder, King Aldrich I, wasn't just a warrior who conquered these lands. He was contacted by beings from distant stars who needed a guardian for something they had hidden here." Dr. Wellington finished bandaging the surgical site while listening intently to the prince's revelations. The crystal's glow was now visible even through the bandages, creating an ethereal light that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of some cosmic heartbeat. Queen Isabella sat down heavily in a nearby chair, overwhelmed by the implications of what they had discovered. "If this is true, then our entire royal lineage has been living a lie. We thought we ruled by divine right and noble birth, but we're actually, what, alien guardians? Not alien. Prince Alexander corrected gently, his enhanced understanding allowing him to clarify the complex truth. The beings who chose our ancestor were ancient protectors of this world, survivors from a civilization that existed here long before human kingdoms rose. They needed to ensure their most precious creation would be safe until the time came for it to be revealed. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward with a practical concern that reflected his military mindset.
Your Highness, what does this mean for the kingdom's security?
Are there threats we should be preparing for? Prince Alexander nodded gravely. The crystal within me is one of 7 keys scattered across our world. As each key awakens, it sends signals to forces both protective and destructive. Some will seek to help us fulfill our destiny, while others will try to claim the power for themselves. Crown Prince Marcus wiped his hands clean and looked at his transformed brother with new respect. What kind of power are we talking about? What exactly are we supposed to be guarding? The symbols on the wall shifted again, showing what appeared to be a vast underground chamber beneath their kingdom's capital city. In the center of this chamber stood a structure that defied description, part architecture, part living organism, pulsing with the same blue energy that now flowed through Prince Alexander. It's a consciousness, Prince Alexander explained, his eyes reflecting the ancient knowledge flowing through him, a living library that contains the accumulated wisdom of the previous civilization. It has the power to heal the land, to bring prosperity to our people, and to defend our world against cosmic threats that ordinary armies could never face. Dr. Wellington was frantically taking notes, trying to document these extraordinary revelations for posterity. And this consciousness has been dormant all these centuries? Waiting, Prince Alexander confirmed, waiting for the bloodline to produce someone who could safely interface with its power. The crystal chose me because my genetic pattern was finally compatible enough to serve as a bridge between human consciousness and this ancient intelligence. Queen Isabella stood up slowly, her maternal concern warring with her royal duty. Son, this is an incredible burden to place on someone so young. Are you certain you're prepared for such responsibility? Prince Alexander smiled with confidence that surprised everyone in the room. Mother, I've never felt more prepared for anything in my life. The crystal isn't just giving me knowledge, it's giving me the strength and wisdom to use that knowledge properly. As if to demonstrate his point, he stood up from the medical table without any assistance, moving with a grace and energy that seemed almost supernatural. The guards watched in amazement as the prince who had been near death just hours earlier now radiated health and vitality. The transformation was complete, but everyone present understood that this was just the beginning of a much larger adventure that would test everything they thought they knew about their kingdom and their world. 3 days after the remarkable procedure, Prince Alexander had become the most closely guarded secret in the kingdom's history. Captain Rodriguez had sworn all witnesses to absolute secrecy, while the royal family determined how to handle these world-changing revelations. In the royal council chamber, Queen Isabella convened an emergency meeting with her most trusted advisors. Prince Alexander stood before them, no longer the frail young man they had known, but someone radiating an otherworldly presence that commanded both respect and caution. My lords and ladies, Queen Isabella began formally, what you are about to witness will challenge everything we believe about our kingdom's foundation and our role in this world. Crown. Prince Marcus had spent sleepless nights researching ancient texts in the royal library, searching for any historical references that might support his brother's incredible claims. He had found fragments, old stories dismissed as legends, unexplained events in their kingdom's chronicles, and peculiar architectural features in their oldest castles that suddenly made sense. The evidence supports Alexander's revelations, Marcus announced to the stunned council. I've discovered records of strange phenomena dating back to our kingdom's founding. Crop failures that mysteriously reversed overnight, plagues that ended without explanation, and several instances where our armies achieved impossible victories against overwhelming odds. Lord Chancellor Blackwood, the kingdom's eldest advisor, leaned forward with skepticism. Your Highness, surely you don't expect us to believe that our royal bloodline carries some sort of mystical responsibility? Prince Alexander stepped forward, and as he did, the crystal within his chest pulsed with visible light through his clothing. My Lord Chancellor, I understand your doubt, but I can prove the truth of what we're telling you. He placed his hand on the ancient stone table that dominated the council chamber, and immediately, blue energy flowed from his touch into the stone. The table began to glow, revealing carved symbols that had been invisible for centuries, hidden beneath layers of polish and age. The council members gasped collectively as the symbols told a story in pictures: the arrival of the ancient protectors, their alliance with King Aldrich, and the establishment of the kingdom as a guardian state. The images showed the construction of the underground chamber, the placement of the 7 crystal keys, and the promise that when the time was right, the bloodline would awaken to its true purpose. The other kingdoms, Prince Alexander continued, his enhanced knowledge allowing him to see the broader picture, they're beginning to experience similar awakenings. The 6 remaining crystal keys are activating across our continent, and their guardians are discovering their heritage just as I have discovered mine. Dr. Wellington, who had been invited to provide medical context, spoke up from his position near the chamber walls. The prince's physical transformation continues to evolve. His strength, reflexes, and mental capacity have all increased dramatically. But more importantly, his body is adapting to channel energies that conventional science cannot explain. Crown Prince Marcus voiced the concern that weighed heavily on everyone's minds. Brother, if these other crystal bearers awaken, will they be allies or enemies? And what happens if someone with ill intentions discovers the truth about these powers? Prince Alexander's expression grew serious as he accessed deeper layers of the ancient knowledge flowing through him. Some will be natural allies, others will need to be convinced, and a few may choose a darker path. The consciousness beneath our kingdom has shown me visions of what could happen if these powers fall into the wrong hands. The chamber fell silent, as everyone contemplated the implications. They were no longer just governing a simple kingdom. They were guardians of something that could reshape the balance of power across their entire world. Queen Isabella made the decision that would define her reign. Then we must prepare. Alexander, you'll need to learn to fully control your abilities. Marcus, begin quietly strengthening our defenses and gathering intelligence about unusual activities in neighboring kingdoms. Captain Rodriguez, select your most trustworthy men to form a special guard unit that will protect our family's secret. As the council meeting concluded, Prince Alexander looked out the chamber windows toward the distant mountains, where strange lights had been reported appearing each night since his awakening. He knew that somewhere beyond those peaks other crystal bearers were beginning their own journeys of discovery, and soon their paths would inevitably cross. 6 months after Prince Alexander's transformation, the kingdom of Astoria had become the secret center of a continental awakening. Representatives from 3 other kingdoms had arrived under the cover of diplomatic missions, each accompanied by individuals who carried the same ethereal glow that marked the crystal bearers. In the great hall of Astoria Palace, an unprecedented gathering was taking place. Prince Alexander stood alongside Princess Liara of the Northern Realm, Sir Demon of the Eastern Territories, and Lady Celestine of the Western Provinces. Each carried one of the 7 crystals, and their combined presence created an energy field that made the ancient stones of the palace hum with power. Crown Prince Marcus had proven himself an invaluable coordinator, using his diplomatic skills to navigate the complex politics of bringing together representatives from kingdoms that had been rivals for generations. His brother's transformation had inspired his own growth from a traditional crown prince into a visionary leader, capable of thinking beyond conventional boundaries. Remaining 3 crystals have been located, Prince Alexander announced to the assembled group. One lies beneath the southern desert kingdom, but their bearer has not yet awakened. Another rests in the coastal federation, where the bearer has awakened but chooses to remain hidden. The 7th crystal, he paused, his expression darkening, has fallen into the hands of someone who seeks to use its power for conquest rather than protection. Lady Celestine stepped forward, her own crystal pulsing beneath the elegant gown she wore. Our visions have shown us the same threat. Lord Vex of the Shadowlands has somehow forced his crystal to awaken prematurely. He's using its power to corrupt the land around his fortress and build an army enhanced by dark energy. Queen Isabella, who had adapted to these extraordinary circumstances with remarkable grace, addressed the gathered crystal bearers. What are our options? Can we stop him before he becomes too powerful? Sir Demon, a warrior whose crystal had enhanced his combat abilities to legendary levels, spoke with grim determination. The ancient consciousness has shown us that if even one crystal is corrupted, it threatens the stability of all 7. We cannot allow Lord Vex to fully master his power. Dr. Wellington, who had become the group's informal expert on crystal bearer physiology, provided crucial medical insight. The forced awakening has likely made Lord Vex's crystal unstable. His body may not be able to safely channel the energy for extended periods. If we can engage him in prolonged conflict, his own power might destroy him. Princess Liara, whose crystal granted her abilities related to nature and healing, offered a different perspective. Perhaps we should attempt to reach the unbonded crystals first. If we can awaken their proper guardians, we'll have greater strength when we face Lord Vex. Crown Prince Marcus had been studying maps and intelligence reports from across the continent. I've arranged for expeditions to both the Southern Desert and the Coastal Federation. But we must move quickly. Our spies report that Lord Vex is also seeking the remaining crystals. Prince Alexander felt the weight of leadership settling on his shoulders as the other crystal bearers looked to him for guidance. The ancient consciousness had revealed that his crystal served as a sort of coordinating key, making him the natural leader of their group. We divide our efforts, he decided. Princess Liara and Sir Demon will journey south to awaken the desert crystal bearer. Lady Celestine and I will sail to the Coastal Federation to convince their bearer to join our cause. Marcus will coordinate our intelligence networks and prepare our combined forces for the inevitable confrontation with Lord Vex. As the gathering prepared to disperse, Queen Isabella pulled her son aside. Alexander, I've watched you grow from a sick young prince into something extraordinary. But remember that no matter what powers you possess, you're still my son, and you're still human where it matters most. Prince Alexander embraced his mother, drawing strength from her unwavering support. I promise you, Mother, that I'll never lose sight of what we're truly fighting for, not just the power to protect our world, but the wisdom to use that power justly. The crystal bearers departed Astoria Palace knowing that when they next gathered, it would likely be for the final confrontation that would determine the fate of their world. The ancient consciousness stirred beneath the kingdom, sensing that the time of testing was finally at hand. As Prince Alexander watched his new allies disappear into the distance, he felt the crystal within his chest pulse with anticipation. The greatest challenge of his life was about to begin, but he was no longer the frightened young prince who had lain dying just months earlier. He was a guardian, a protector, and a bridge between worlds, and he was ready to fulfill his destiny.